Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is July 28th, 2026, and there could be a change to Barcelona's preseason. I'm going to tell you what it is. Also, Jorge Salinas remains determined to join Barcelona. I'm going to tell you what's going on with that operation. And finally, Cancelo. What's going on there? Because he has been scheduled to appear for Al-Hilal's preseason. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Boo, and today we're going to be talking about the preseason to begin with. But before we talk about the preseason, just a reminder, excuse me, that I did place a poll under the post tab on the YouTube page, what it used to be known as the community tab, asking the question, which Barcelona kit would you like me to raffle? Home kit, away kit? Make sure you answer that poll. That poll closes tomorrow, Wednesday, when the podcast begins, or maybe when the podcast ends. We'll see. But for sure, answer before the podcast, because during the podcast, I'm going to announce which kit I will be raffling based on the votes, whether home or away. And then, of course, I'm going to be announcing how you will be able to join that raffle. All right, now let's begin with the news. And let's talk about Barcelona's preseason, because as you know by now, the team is currently training in England at St. George's Park. Of course, the preseason started 2 weeks ago, where the players reported to the Ciudad Esportiva to undergo medical exams. They trained at the Ciudad Esportiva for 2 weeks. They had a friendly match behind closed doors against CE Europa, where Barcelona won 4-1. And yesterday, well, they flew to England, where they're going to be training at St. George's Park until August 3rd. And as you can see, there is Ronald Araujo teaching Fermin Lopez how to commit a red card foul during critical moments of the match. He's like, look, Fermin, you grab the guy like this. You sweep his legs, you get the red card. And then when a teammate of yours like Gundogan criticized that move, well, you blame it on him like it's his fault for saying what he said instead of assuming responsibility for your red card. But anyways, that's what happened today. And of course, there will be a friendly match in England on July 31st against Birmingham at St. Andrew's Stadium, which will be televised, and people will be able to attend that match. And then on August 3rd, there will be another friendly match against Preston North, and then Barcelona will return to, well, the city of Barcelona. And then on August 8th, they will fly to Italy, where they're going to have a 3-match tournament against Udinese and Nottingham Forest, 45 minutes against each team. And it's going to be point-based. I explained it in the previous video if you want to check that video out. Well, on August 19th, of course, the preseason will end with a friendly match against Al-Ahli, the Egyptian side, Al-Ahli, which is the former club of Hamza Abdel Karim, in the Juan Gamper Trophy match. And then there could be a change to this preseason, because Barcelona are currently negotiating another friendly match that will most likely take place in Morocco. Now, if you're asking, Mo, why is Barcelona doing this? Well, as you know, usually Barcelona goes on international tours during the summers. Last summer, they went to South Korea and Japan. The summer before that, they came here to the U.S. And usually those summer tours are done, why? Of course, to collect money, right? To raise money. Usually these tours bring in around 10 to 12 million euros of profits for Barcelona. This summer, there is no preseason tour because of the World Cup. Hansi Flick did not want his players traveling halfway around the globe and getting exhausted. So, of course, as good as that sounds, Barcelona still need to make up that profit, right? That income that they're not going to make from the preseason tour. So this is why they're negotiating another friendly match in Morocco, which you might think, Mo, players are still playing matches. They're still going to be tired. True, but at least, flying to Morocco, which is right across from Spain, is not as bad as, flying to the U.S., which is halfway around the world, or to Korea and Japan, which is also on the other side of the planet. But anyways, we'll see whether this deal goes through. For now, it's not confirmed. For now, Barcelona are currently negotiating with the promoter. We'll see whether it happens, and we'll see who it will be against. Now, on to the next bit of news, because, ladies and gentlemen, Jorge Salinas continues to be determined to join FC Barcelona. Jorge Salinas is, of course, someone we've talked about in the past here on the channel. 19 years old, left back, can also play as a left-footed, as a left center back, because he is left-footed. He, of course, is currently playing for Racing de Santander. He came up through the academy of Racing de Santander. And last season, he was key in helping Racing get promoted from second to first division after a 14-year absence from La Liga. And, of course, Barcelona are very interested in signing Jorge Salinas. He's one of the most promising fullbacks currently in Spain. Barcelona reached an agreement with the player back in June so he can join the club, but then there was the problem with his release clause, where the release clause was worth 8 million euros, but it stated that if Racing got promoted to first division, the release clause would go up from 8 to 16 million euros. Now, when Barcelona reached the agreement with Jorge Salinas, they tried to pay the 8 million euros release clause, but Racing said no. We are now in first division, so it's actually worth 16 million. And of course, Barcelona said, no, you're not in first division yet. Yes, you have qualified, but the season is not over until June 30th. So until June 30th, you're still in second division, and therefore the release clause is still worth 8 million. And of course, Racing said, no, we qualified. We're already in first division. So it's not 8, it's 16. And since then, the negotiations have hit a wall and it's stalled. Now, Barcelona have offered some players on loan in order to sweeten the deal, including they have offered Jofre Torrents, who Barcelona are already planning to loan out so he can get experience and continue growing and developing. But so far, Racing has said no, that they want to keep the negotiations separate. They want to negotiate for Jorge Salinas. They want the 60 million euros for him. And then they can talk about, a loan for Jofre or whoever Barcelona has to offer. Now, it's reported that Jorge Salinas still wants to join Barcelona. Of course, he did reach an agreement with the club to join. He's currently on vacation after winning the UEFA Under-19 Championship with Spain alongside other Barcelona players like Andres Cuenca and, of course, Xavi Espart. And even though Jorge Salinas is determined to join Barcelona, he's not going to force his way out. In other words, he's not going to make any public statements. He's not going to tell the club that he's not showing up to training or anything like that. Why? Because, of course, Jorge Salinas has come up through Racing's academy. It's his childhood club. He's not going to do that to them. But nonetheless, he still wants to join Barcelona. And it's reported that Barcelona are actually confident that this might happen, that this signing will happen, but most likely not until the end of August. So in other words, don't expect news anytime soon in regards to Jorge Salinas. Now, it's reported that Jorge Salinas, while on vacation, did report to the offices of Gestifoot, which is the representation agency headed by Jorge Mendes. Jorge Mendes is Jorge Salinas' agent. And he went there, had a meeting with Jorge Mendes in order, to come up with a solution to figure out how Jorge Salinas can make the jump to Barcelona and, trying to find kind of like middle ground because, of course, Barca are saying, no, we only want to pay 8. Racing say want to pay 16. We'll see where this ends up. We'll see how much Barcelona end up paying. But, of course, my question to you is, should Barcelona pay 16 million euros for a player who's never debuted in first division? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's fair given the player's potential? Let me know down below in the comment section. And, of course, speaking of fullbacks, we do have to talk about Joao Canelo, someone that Barcelona want to sign, someone who wants to come to the club. And the agreement has been done with the player for a while. But now, of course, the remaining agreement, the agreement that still remains is between Barcelona and Al-Hilal, where Cancelo is currently a player of. Now, the news is that Joao Cancelo has been scheduled to report to the preseason with Al-Hilal tomorrow, July 29th in Austria. Al-Hilal are currently in Austria as part of their preseason. They're going to be in Austria until August 3rd. And while Joao Cancelo's vacation is officially over and he has been requested to report tomorrow to the preseason, which the player does plan to show up. He doesn't want to, anger the club or do anything. He's already made it very clear to them that he wants to leave, that he wants to join Barca. So he's not going to do anything like that. And then, of course, this has raised a lot of concerns amongst the fans with people thinking, well, if Cancelo's being called to the preseason, he's going to show up to the preseason, does that mean that this deal is off? And while I'm here to quell your concerns, because no, the deal is not off. In fact, Al-Hilal or those in charge of Al-Hilal have already given the green light for the sale of Joao Cancelo. And in fact, they've already signed a replacement, Mohamed Mahzari from Al Tawun. So they've already even not only green lit the exit of Cancelo, They've even found a replacement for him. So don't worry, this operation is going to happen. Cancelo will be a Barcelona player this summer. But of course, it's going to take some time because Barcelona and Al-Hilal are still negotiating the final details of the contract and the final price, which I imagine is going to be something around 10 million because Barcelona only wanted to offer 5. Al-Hilal wanted 15. I'm sure they'll meet somewhere in the middle, maybe around 10 million. Hansi Flick wanted wanted Joao Canelo to be part of the preseason in England, but he also understands that this operation is going to take some patience. Jorge Mendes is doing his part as far as getting Barcelona and Al-Hilal to a middle ground. So it's a matter of time. But guys, don't worry. Cancelo will be a Barcelona player. He will become Barcelona's third signing after, of course, Anthony Gordon and Karim Adeyemi. Anyways, that is all for this video. We'll be uploading another video shortly because there is more news to discuss. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, peace, Barça.